Nice launch trajectory and countdown net. Pad is clear.
10, 9, 8.
Launch auto sequence has started.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Go for launch.
Vehicle is supersonic. Stage separation confirmed. Dragon separation confirmed. Stage 1 is transonic. Landing legs have deployed. And Falcon 9 has landed.
On your screen is a live view of Falcon 9 awaiting its 2:38 a.m. Eastern Time launch from Space Launch Complex 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. Good evening and welcome to our 56th launch of 2022 covering the iSpace Mission 1 for our customer iSpace. My name is Jesse Anderson and I'm a production and engineering manager here at SpaceX, joining you from our headquarters in Hawthorne, California. Now today we will be launching iSpace's Series 1 lunar lander towards the lunar surface, marking the first privately funded commercial mission to the moon. iSpace is a commercial lunar transportation company focused on designing and building lunar landers and rovers in order to bring customer payloads to the moon and lunar orbit. iSpace participated in the Google Lunar X Prize race, and their team named Hakuto was selected as one of 5 finalists. Today's launch is part of the Hakuto R program, which is one of 2 missions, with Mission 2 tentatively planned for 2024. Hakuto means white rabbit in Japanese folklore. It is said...
لا هو جست ايماجن انه طبعا ما راح يكون في بلاك كذي، راح يكون في باك جراوند كويت سات ديزاين ولوجو من اليسار. اي زين الكاميرا الثانيه ايش الصوره كذي عادي يضبط بعدين زين. طبعا اقدر اكبر واخليه كذي. احب اهدي الموضوع اوكي الحين بطفي.
Two-thirds of the vehicle is what we call the first stage. This is the Most recently, we completed the ground team poll to proceed with propellant load and launch at T-minus 38 minutes. We began loading propellant at T-minus 35 minutes. And Falcon 9 is a bipropellant vehicle, meaning it uses 2 propellants, a fuel and an oxidizer. For Falcon 9, our fuel is a refined form of kerosene known as RP1 or rocket propellant 1. Now, to burn the fuel, we need an oxidizer. Falcon 9's oxidizer is super chilled liquid oxygen, or what we call densified LOX. It's chilled well below its boiling point, which increases its density and allows us to load more into the first and second stage LOX tanks. Currently, fuel loading is complete on the second stage, while loading continues on the first stage until T-minus 6 minutes. Liquid oxygen is loading onto both first and second stages right now. Now we also need an igniter to start burning the fuel and oxidizer.
Tanks are pressurizing for strong back retract.
Just pausing for those comms. We also need an igniter to start burning the fuel and oxidizer, and for that we use the chemical TTEB, or triethyl aluminum and triethyl borane. It produces a characteristic green flash that we can sometimes see at the bottom of the vehicle. Once our Merlin engines ignite, they'll begin throwing the combustion exhaust out of the engine nozzles at the base of the rocket, resulting in a push on the vehicle in the opposite direction. This is a great example.
Retract has started.
This is a great example of Newton's third law of motion. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. As for weather, we are still currently green and the range is ready to support liftoff in just about 4 minutes from now at 2:38 a.m. Eastern Time.
شغل الاوديو مال المايك مالنا الحين. احمد تكلم وبطول عليك. وبطول عليك.
At T-0, ground hydraulic systems will pull the T even further away from Falcon 9 as it lifts off. Away from the vehicle.
سويتها أحسن. هدى مريم شوفوا. بس كذا. هو يبي بوردر بدون بوردر. لا 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 ما يبي ما يبي. إني شرير. إني شرير. هو لازم يكون في ديلي لأن الأشياء هذه تحتاج وقت على ما تنتقل من مكان إلى مكان.
Now, those white clouds that you see around Falcon 9 are created when propellant oxidizer, that super chilled liquid oxygen, comes in contact with the warm, humid weather in Florida. At T-minus 60 seconds, Falcon 9 will be in startup. This means that the rocket's autonomous internal flight computers have taken over the launch countdown. And just inside T-minus 2 seconds is when we light the Merlin 1D engines for liftoff. The iSpace Mission 1 payload continues to be healthy, and the Falcon 9 team is tracking no issues on the vehicle. If for some reason we do not launch today, we do have a backup opportunity tomorrow around the same time. Now, again, weather is still looking good for T0, and the range is still green for launch. So with that, we're proceeding into the last couple of minutes of the terminal count. Again, liquid oxygen loading should complete around T-minus 2 minutes.
Stage 2 LOX load is complete.
Great news. Liquid oxygen loading completing on the second stage concludes propellant loading of Falcon 9. And
ground gas closeouts has started.
I mentioned that transporter rector earlier. There is a liquid oxygen line that we are now venting out, and that's why you see more of those white clouds around the vehicle. And at T-minus 1 minute is when Falcon 9 will go into startup and the internal flight computers will take over the launch countdown.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
There it is. The vehicle is also now pressurizing for launch, and now we are just waiting for the final call from the launch director.
Falcon 9, iSpace. Go for launch.
Great news. All systems are go for launch of Falcon 9 with iSpace Mission 1.
T-minus 20 seconds and counting. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition. Liftoff.
Vehicles pitching downrange.
Stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from Pad 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, carrying the iSpace Series 1 lunar lander. During ascent, we tilt the engines, which we call gimbaling, and that turns the rocket horizontally. And that's what we call a gravity turn. We are still
Power and telemetry is nominal.
We are still going up, but we are also heading horizontally away from the launch pad. The rocket typically needs to go 17,000.
Vehicle supersonic.
Great call outs there. The rocket typically needs to go 17,500 miles per hour horizontally in order to avoid being pulled back down to Earth and get
Max
into
Q.
orbit. And we just heard a call out for max Q. That is maximum dynamic pressure. This is the largest structural load that the vehicle sees on ascent. Now that we're past the period of max Q, or maximum dynamic pressure, we
Engine chill.
do have 5 events coming up in quick succession. That'll be MECO, stage separation, stage 1 flip, SES1, and then the boost back burn on the first stage will begin. Again, MECO is where all 9 of those engines that you see lit up on your screen, those will shut down. That helps slow the stage down in preparation for stage separation. Then the first stage will do a flip in order to make its way back to its landing zone today on land, followed by SES1 or second stage engine start 1 on the second stage. That's where the MVAC engine will ignite. And then the boost back burn will also begin on the first stage. Those events are coming up here in just a few seconds.
Stage separation confirmed.
MVAC ignition.
Stage 1 boost back startup.
Some really cool views there. We just had MECO stage separation. You could see the stage 1 flipping in the background of the MVAC view, and an awesome view of the first stage boost back burn there. Awesome views. Again, that was MECO stage separation, stage 1 flip, SES1, that's the MVAC engine igniting. There you can see that on your right-hand screen. Stage 1 is currently in its boost back burn.
Bearing separation confirmed.
And there you can see on the right-hand screen, the fairing halves have deployed from the second stage as well. These fairing halves have completed their 4th and 5th flight and will be recovered when they return back down to Earth on our recovery vessel, Bob.
Stage 1 boost back shut down.
And as you saw on your left-hand screen, the engine has shut down on the first stage. That concludes the boost back burn for stage 1. And an awesome view here. This is from our Falcon 9 second stage, looking at our MVAC engine in its first burn at the moment, T plus 4 minutes into today's mission. We are in the first of 2 planned MVAC burns before payload deployment. At T plus 6 minutes and 33 seconds, you should see on your screen the first stage's entry burn. That burn will last about 20 seconds. Now, the entry burn is where we relight 3 M1D engines, starting with the center E9 engine, then followed shortly afterwards by the E1 and E5 engines. Now, that slows the vehicle down as it passes back into the Earth's atmosphere. Now, we need to slow the stage down in order to reduce re-entry forces, and that helps us with recovery and reuse of the first stage. Again, what you're seeing on your screen is a view of the MVAC engine on the second stage. So far, looking like it's on a nominal trajectory. Now, reusability is key to lowering the cost.
Vehicles on nominal trajectory.
Great call outs there. Reusability is key to lowering the cost of spaceflight, which enables more investments in critical scientific research. The Falcon 9 first stage that is supporting today's mission will perform this entry burn for the 5th time, previously having supported SES-22 and 3 Starlink missions. Again, that entry burn will be coming up in just about a minute from now, around the T plus 6 minute and 33 second mark. During that entry burn, Falcon 9 is decelerating by firing its Merlin engines, and we are still moving rapidly. This causes the vehicle to fly through Merlin's exhaust gases, which we also call the rocket's plume, and this deposits a layer of soot on the vehicle's surface. Now, that soot comes from the carbon-based fuel that Falcon 9 uses. About 30 seconds away from the entry burn on the first stage. Again, you're seeing a view of the second stage MVAC engine on your screen.
Stage 1, entry burn startup.
And there now on your left-hand screen is the first stage. We did hear the call out and also can see those engines lighting up the screen, very bright there. This burn lasts about 20 seconds. Again, it's 3 of 9 M1D engines reigniting.
Stage 1, entry burn shut down.
Stage 1 FTS is saved.
And as you saw, the engines have shut down. That concludes the entry burn for the first stage. Next up, in just about 30 seconds, will be the landing burn for the first stage. That's a single engine burn, the center E9 engine. Each engine is optimized for sea level.
Startup terminal guidance.
And it has about 190,000 pounds of thrust. So that single engine is just enough thrust to enable the first stage vehicle to touch down on its landing zone. Today will be
Stage
landing.
1 transonic.
It will be landing zone 2 or LZ2 that we will be attempting to land on today. And just shortly after the landing burn begins,
Stage 1 landing burn.
as we just saw and heard, the stage 1 vehicle landing burn has begun. We also heard the shutdown of the second stage engine, but let's watch as Falcon 9 touches down for landing with this incredible view here.
Nominal orbit insertion.
Stage 1 landing leg deploy. Stage 1 landing confirmed.
Really awesome views there. As you can see, Falcon 9 has touched down on landing zone 2. That is our 155th recovery of an orbital class rocket, including first stage landings for Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy. Now, we also had SECO 1, or second stage engine cutoff 1, and that is of that MVAC engine that you can see there shut down. But the mission is not over just yet. The second stage is now embarking on its first coast phase. After the coast phase, we will light that MVAC engine for a second time at T plus 40 minutes. We will not have ground station coverage for SES-2 and SECO-2, so we'll come back to confirm a successful burn right before payload deploy at the T plus 47 minute mark. So sit back and enjoy the space tunes, and we'll see you back here in about 35 minutes.